So welcome to the 2021 Aerospace Tech Week event. That was a very cool opening video. Glad to be back here after 2 years. It's been a while. You guys have probably, like me, been looking at people on screens for the last year. So it's great to be back in person here. My name is Woodrow Bellamy. I'm the editor-in-chief of Avionics International. I'll be leading this opening conference session. And like I said, this is Aerospace Tech Week for us has really become one of the most important events, avionics related in Europe, just because of the breadth of, the number of suppliers and exhibitors and the number of technologies that are on display here. You really get to see the avionics industry all the way from, embedded systems all the way out to the actual aircraft applications and people who are operating them. So. Really excited to be here, and I think we have a great opening lineup for you guys. So this keynote is going to feature 4 different speakers. We will have a speaker, Ihsan Bari. He is the head of operations for Etihad Airways. We also have Phil Godfrey. He's the director of international strategy for Collins Aerospace, as well as Bruno Stoufflet. He is the chief technology officer for Dassault Aviation. And finally, we have Alexis Vidal, VP of Product Marketing for Airbus. Each of these speakers are going to be giving individual presentations on topics of their selection. But before we do get to that, for those of you who have been attending this for the last few years, I tried to start the event by giving just a brief opening overview of some of the highlighted technologies that we've been covering for the last year in the industry and seem very interesting to us. So I will now get started with that. Again, just some background about me. I'm based in Washington, D.C. We also do have a Connected Aviation Intelligence Summit ourselves. Our magazine is Avionics International. These are kind of the top 5 technologies, innovation, and updates that people have been engaging with on our publication, our platforms, our webinars over the last year or so. This is based on a tool that we use called Parsley, which is a data analytics tool. It allows us to see what topics, readers and audience members like some of you are engaging with the most. And these are kind of the 5 right here. Certainly, I could have probably put some other topics in there, but this is kind of the top 5 for us, based on 660,000 site visitors since January 1st. I'm just going to start with a brief overview. I'm not going to touch on every single topic. I probably, don't want to bore you guys to death by, a whole overview of the industry, but I wanted to start with commercial aircraft connectivity, because anytime that we write about that or feature a story about an aircraft connectivity upgrade, our site traffic jumps and we get all kinds of engagement. This is based on a Euroconsult report that Euroconsult published in August. And they say there's basically 26,500 in-service aircraft. That's based on the addressable market. So Euroconsult does interviews and monitors press releases as well as annual reports. This is what they found, is that 9,000 of those currently in service feature in-flight connectivity terminals. Those 9,000 aircraft are operated by 115 airlines. Again, Euroconsult does do interviews directly with these players. So these are estimates, but it is backed up by pretty good insight from Euroconsult. About 80% of that is happening through satellite, and the other 20% through line of sight or air to ground, or terrestrial connectivity. There's a big opportunity for connectivity service providers in some of the regional and single aisle aircraft, as those have some of the lowest equipage really across any region that you go across. I know that here in Europe and even in the US, low-cost airlines, it's rare to find in-flight connectivity on their aircraft. I also just wanted to give you guys an overview of some of the development that's happening with next-generation in-flight connectivity networks. Now, these that I highlighted on this first page, these top 3, are what we call low Earth orbit satellite providers. And this has been a topic that's been of real interest from a lot of airlines and business aviation operators, just because of the promise of what low Earth orbit satellite connectivity could possibly provide to them. Just to give you guys some little insight here about the SpaceX, I know that's probably might be a surprise to see there, but they did file for an aviation terminal license in March of this year, as well as a number of other terminals, and we did interview their vice president. She expects SpaceX to be able to offer in-flight connectivity via their Starlink network by 2025. So, that could be exciting to see SpaceX enter that space. Some of the others here that are in development and, coming up soon, Smart Sky Networks, they're coming up in 2022. Gogo's 5G network, they actually have begun flight testing their 5G chipset earlier this year. So that should be in full service by the second half of next year. And I just list some others here as well: Viasat-3, Iridium Certus, and Inmarsat Orchestra. I won't go into the details, but those are kind of the dates for some of those. I know a lot of people here are probably familiar with those companies and networks. This is a very interesting topic in the US right now. The FAA actually just issued this yesterday about 5G networks. And I know that probably the text is probably hard for you guys to see, but just to give you some background on this, basically, last year the Federal Communications Commission in the US licensed new spectrum to several wireless broadband providers that will be deploying 5G network infrastructure. They've now found that because of the frequencies within which those networks will exist, there could be some interference to actually aircraft radar altimeter systems. And they have issued a special airworthiness bulletin. It could lead to loss of signal. Actually evaluating that right now. And that's a really big topic as well for us. When we write about 5G, we do get questions about this. So I wanted to highlight that as well. Also wanted to highlight to you guys that GADS is something that we cover on an ongoing basis. And it's the Global Aeronautical Distress and Safety System. The Autonomous Distress Tracking Mandate portion of that was, of course, delayed until January 2023. Just an overview of what is kind of featured in the ADT. I didn't go into much detail here. But the thing about the updates around that is that 3 of the big airframe manufacturers have selected equipment to meet some of those mandates. Here's an overview of what Airbus has selected, the Ultima EDT. It is going to be line fit on their A220, A320, and A330 and A350 aircraft. Both Boeing and Embraer have also chosen suppliers as well. ACR Electronics will be supplying their technology. Boeing has basically selected it as an option. They haven't said it's going to be line fit yet. Embraer is going to install this as a line fit technology on their E2 jets, or their second generation regional jets. And just moving on here, one of my favorite topics, and it's going to be featured in this program, I definitely would encourage you to check out the panel on eVTOLs this week. This is probably one of the most popular next generation topics that we have. Here, I just gave a brief breakdown of some of the airlines that are actually investing in electric air taxi and hydrogen electric technology. As you can see here, just last month, Alaska Airlines partnered with Zero Avia. They want to develop a hydrogen electric powertrain for a 76-seat regional aircraft. Gol, the biggest carrier in Brazil, has a future purchase agreement for Vertical Aerospace. And just a little overview here, Finnair has also invested in the Swedish aircraft manufacturer Heart Aerospace. They have a letter of intent for 20 of their ES-19 all-electric aircraft. And you see some of the others here. One of the big ones was United Airlines earlier this year actually signed a purchase agreement with Archer Aviation to purchase up to 200 of their eVTOL aircraft. Now, the thing about these agreements is that these aircraft have to be built and certified. The air taxi developers are very bullish on being able to accomplish that by the 2023 to 24 time range. Will they get there? We'll see, but they have some backing here by some pretty recognizable names. And I thought that would be important to highlight. Our probably most read story of the year and topic that we introduced, actually, this was just featured in our most recent magazine. Honeywell Aerospace unveiled their Anthem flight deck, their first cloud-native avionics system. And one of they did an unveiling event in New York City about this, and one of the interesting things was that the displays are essentially the computers for this. At least this is what Honeywell has said, is that they don't plan on having traditional avionics bays for this type of setup. Now, the first two launch customers for this flight deck are Lilium and their 7-seater electric air taxi. They're another eVTOL developer. Vertical Aerospace is also going to feature this on their first eVTOL aircraft as well. Features a cockpit browser as well as integrated network server unit. Their first system where they've actually built connectivity into the avionics from the start there. So that's actually been our most popular story of the year, and we literally just published that recently. So I definitely wanted to highlight that. And I'll just close out by saying, please download the Aerospace Tech Week app. It will allow you to ask questions in conferences, sessions like this throughout the conference. And also just encourage you guys to scan the QR codes when you are visiting the exhibitors, because we do have a little bit of a prize going on with that. So very excited to be here this week. Like I said, it's great to be here after 2 years. And now I will hand it over to our first airline speaker of the day, Isan.